teacher from England, and what I'd like to do today is just talk about how to be more creative when you're learning. So as a drum teacher and obviously as a musician, I'm always trying to use the creative process myself. Now I can remember being at school, and a lot of times at school it was just a case of like accumulating information. The teacher told you stuff, and then at the end of term you sat in the sports hall and see how much you could actually remember. Now the creativity process, now we were going to use that in that scenario. If you're doing a test, you might have three possible answers, A, B and C. Now for creativity, you'd have a D answer, which says, I disagree with all the answers above and here's my reasons why, and this is my idea. But unfortunately, the school system doesn't really have time for all that. So as a drum teacher and an active professional musician, creativity is all about sitting down, learning something, and then developing an opinion, your own ideas, learning to force yourself to think properly. Now, I want to give you an example. In 1980, I bought this book. It's called Advanced Funk Drumming by Rick Latham. Incredible book. It's rammed with loads and loads of beats, and then what Rick does at the end, he puts it all together and does little solos, and I love that idea. You know, it's kind of like capturing what you've learned and trying to reinforce it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you my process of how I tend to learn, and there's lots of different stages. So the first stage, now with this lesson, I've written my own little solo out using sort of linear type drum beats and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it inspired by Rick's book. Another one by Frank Corleone's book called Rhythm Section Drumming. Now the very first bar, what I'm going to do is just go to the drum kit and just play that bar by itself, okay? With that, now you can start to make your own decisions. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the left foot to do eighth notes with my hi-hat, and I'm going to play the hi-hat part on the right. Let's see what sort of effect we get. Playing the right hand part on the cowbell, keeping the left foot doing the eighth notes. Let's try that. Go on, let's do it. One tiny little bit of information starts to get the creative juices going. You start to become more creative. So, you know, a lot of times when I'm teaching people, they're just in a rush just to tick everything off. Look, just learn one thing. Take the time to nurture it. Now, once I've been through all these ideas, next step, I want to hone for this drum beat. I don't want to just sit and play it to a metronome. That's pretty boring. So, I don't know, there must be millions of songs out there that I could try and play this pattern to. There's a book I would recommend by Jim Riley, which is absolutely phenomenal because you get lots and lots of tracks minus drums, and you can play along. Now I'm going to play that beat to track 70 from Jim's book. What I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to play you this solo, right? And if you get your drumsticks and play along, and then you can start experimenting with the bars yourself, right? Which is really, really important. What I try and do is I try and think of myself not just as a drummer. I like to think of myself as a musician. And as a music has got melody, harmony, dynamics, and rhythm. Now, if you just concentrate on rhythm as a drummer, that's pretty boring. You know, try to get involved with music. And when I listen to music, obviously I listen to the bass part, then I listen to the guitar part, the keyboard part, the melody and the harmony. Obviously, if there's a singer, I'm engaging with the words. I'm listening to how it all sort of goes together and how we're all listening to each other. So the more you play along to music, the more you become a musician, okay? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play you that solo. And hopefully, if you enjoyed what we talked about today, please go on my website, www.tonicannelli.com. Thank you.